Hi, Sarah Childress back with you. To continue my horror analysis series, I wanted to take a look at a scene from James Wan's The Conjuring. Now, I love James Wan. I think he's a horror artiste of the finest degree. He pays attention to every single detail and makes them work to produce just the most amazing effects. Now, in this particular scene, his narrational pyrotechnics include things like subjective cinematography, shadowy mise-en-scène, but also discontinuous editing. And I think it's the discontinuous editing that's really the workhorse here, because he essentially rips to shreds continuity editing rules. He crosses the 180-degree line, he moves his camera more than 30 degrees across shots, essentially producing jump cuts. I mean, essentially, you never know where the camera is going to be, which is a wonderful way to create a sense of disorientation while also manifesting evil spirits. Let's take a look. Wan chooses to use a handheld camera for his tracking shot.
Who is that?
So though the shot is conventionally motivated, i.e. following the protagonist and reacting to what she's reacting to, the handheld nature of the shot indicates the presence of another being, separate from but connected to the protagonist. Then there's a jump cut, which makes it seem like the camera has leapt towards the protagonist. The handheld tracking shot now follows her more closely, but its presence seems to echo hers as they both tentatively move through space, and then each turns toward the sound of the creaking door. We have another jump cut here, but this time the camera has jumped out of the room and is looking back at the protagonist. Is it the same camera and the same presence, or a different one? Then we seem to be in two places at once, behind and then in front of the protagonist, Carolyn. Now a quintessential POV shot confirmed by movement and spatial orientation. The movement into darkness has hidden another jump cut. We're again in front of Caroline, this time the angle is canted. And as we know, a cant means there's definitely something wrong, which is what makes me think this is the malevolent camera. We jump behind her again, but then we get a POV shot. Notice a light switching on. We jump back behind her to see her descend, and then we're greeted with another POV shot as she ducks down to see the light that's now on. These POV shots provide me with evidence for why I feel like the camera behind Carolyn is a sympathetic one. Its movements and perspective are similar to, one could even say sympathetic with, Carolyn, whereas the camera that is in front of her tends to be static, peering at her, staring at her, watching her squirm. Get ready for the fireworks.
Who's ever down there? I'm gonna lock you in now!
Wow, let's break that down. Wan crosses the axis of action he establishes between Carolyn and the door. Bam! Then the camera's everywhere. An overhead is replaced by a shot from the basement floor, and then we return to the top of the stairs to watch Carolyn roll down them. We return to the basement floor, and then to the top of the stairs. The sympathetic camera seems paralyzed at the top of the stairs, but then jumps down to be with Carolyn again. Notice how this sympathetic camera presence still moves in correspondence with Carolyn, though the camera height is now above Carolyn. Is this a protective move, or does the camera know something? Uh-oh, here we go again. It's back. The malevolent camera. Then surprise, what seems to be a Carolyn POV is actually a camera POV, which affirms her connection to the sympathetic camera, and then both witness this. Now we have two narrationally ambiguous shots. They're logical close-up shots, but what do they represent? Love this rack focus, which gives us a close-up on the exploding bulb, but also makes Carolyn go blurry with fear. Then we're all thrust into the scariest thing of all, complete darkness that obscures our ability to see. But audio cues, the most visceral of film effects, keep us in the scary moment. Until a light source is established, a light source that, though small, is significantly warmer than the cold white of the light bulb. Again, we see through the perspectives of the two cameras, sympathetic and malignant, but notice how the malignant camera has leapt closer to Carolyn. The sympathetic camera nestles in more closely too.
Hey, wanna play hide and clap?
But even before we see these spectral hands, the camera positions and the discontinuous editing clue us into other presences.